I'm really glad. Oh, I can even do it left-handed. Look at me go. Oh, I'm puffed out. This is difficult. I got lipstick on my teeth. Custom fit, mate. Pay big bucks for someone to do this. Hi crafty people! Today I'm sharing with you my first pregnancy sewing project. I made these maternity swimming shorts to use on my trip to Darwin when I visited my sister. For my own comfort level and my confidence, I like bathers that cover my thighs, both because I don't like my butt showing too much and also because I have a mole on my leg, which my dermatologist has recommended I keep covered at all times when in the sun. So I figured the best option for me was to make my own swimming shorts out of proper swimming material that's SPF 50, and it will keep me both sun safe and also comfortable while I'm swimming. Here's my little disclaimer. In case you haven't worked it out if you've watched any of my videos before, I am not a professional, but what I am is creative. So if you're here just to watch someone try and work something out, then welcome to this video. I literally used a pair of pants I had and my own body to work out how to make these pants. If you haven't been here before, then my name's Marie, and this channel is all about different sewing projects I make for myself, my family, and my kids to inspire you to also want to make and mend for your family. While I was in Darwin, Lane was home with the 3 kids and he did a really great job looking after them. They seem to have had a lot of fun.
Oh! Izzy's wearing half of it on her face. Hi, Ellie. What is this? Great job. I'm exhausted.
And I'm really glad that I got to go away and celebrate my sister's engagement. So congratulations again to Teresa and Grant. I'm really happy with these shorts. They're basically just maternity bike shorts made out of swimming material, and it was really comfortable to wear. I'm really glad that I took the time to make it, even though I really didn't have any time. I was making them the night before I flew out at 5 AM the next morning. So cutting it a little fine there, but that's okay. So this isn't really a tutorial as such, but here is the process of how I made these shorts. Let's get making.
My mum makes maternity babies.
To make these pants, I'm first starting off with a pair of my black work pants that fit me really well, although I don't wear these much anymore now that I'm not working as a teacher. I'm using the pants that I already have to clone a pattern. If you've never done this before, I'm essentially just tracing out the pattern pieces from a clothing item that already fits me onto a big piece of, in this case, wrapping paper, so that I can use it as a pattern to make these pants again. If you've never cloned a pattern before and you'd like a bit more detail, you can watch my cloning kids clothes video after this. Because I'm not wanting to have pockets in these swimming pants, I'm not bothering to mark out the separate front and back pieces like they are on my original pants. I'm just tracing it all as one leg pattern piece that I will cut 2 of, 1 for each leg. I have my fabric doubled over so that I can cut out both of my pattern pieces at the same time. Next, I'm going to take the pants that I cloned this pattern from to see which seam is on top on the inside, which will tell me which part I'm going to sew first. So from that, I could tell that I need to sew down each of the legs independently, and then I can sew both of the legs together. If you have an overlocker or a serger, I definitely recommend you use that because it would make it so much easier sewing this really stretchy, very slippery fabric. But I don't have an overlocker yet, so instead I'm using my stretch needle, and I have cut off the excess on the edge to make sure that it's as neat as possible. And I'm using an over edge stitch, which is essentially a straight stitch with a zigzag stitch next to it going down the side. Having sewn down the inseam on both legs, I'm now ready to sew the crotch seam. To do this, I start by pinning in the middle where the seams are matching together, and then putting pins around the rest of the seam to make sure that it holds still when I'm sewing it. Again, I'm cutting off the excess and sewing with an over edge stitch. If this isn't an option on your machine, then don't worry, you can just sew with a standard zigzag stitch too. I was finding it particularly difficult to sew with this fabric. It was incredibly slippery to work with, and it was also kind of pulling in my machine, and the cotton thread was not working very well. I recommend you use a polyester thread or something that is specifically designed for stretch fabrics, because I was having all sorts of problems with this thread but had no time to go and purchase new thread for this project. This isn't like cute clothes, I reckon. hold them up. Ooh, ooh, we need more space. I need bigger arms, or smaller body. I tried the shorts on at this point and marked with some chalk the ideal place where I thought the underbelly waistband would fit for me. I chopped off the excess. I then cut out 2 long thin rectangles that went the whole way around my underbelly nice and tightly, and then for each of those I sewed them together on the smaller edge. I needed 2 of these because I want to be hiding the seams so that it's comfortable on my belly. So I'm putting one on the inside and one on the outside of the pants, and then folding it up so that that seam is encased in the inside. I marked the quarter points around the top of my pants and the quarter points on the waistband and matched those together because the waistband was tighter than the pants. Then as I was sewing around it, I was able to stretch the waistband so that it was sitting flat against the top of the pants. This is difficult. This is not fun. I eventually got there and was able to sew all of those 3 pieces together, but I wish I did it in 2 stages where I sewed one of the waistband pieces to the pants and then sewed the second waistband on. Then it was time for me to try and make the overbelly part, and this is where things got particularly experimental. I figured the best way to get an accurate representation of what would be comfortable on my belly was to pin a scrap piece of fabric against my shirt so that I could get an accurate template of my belly. But it'll be something like this, but it's a tucker in. Very technical.
One way to make a template, have to do it any other way though.
Drafted on my own body. Custom fit, mate. Pay big bucks for someone to do this. I'm sure this is how they do it. Ta-da!
You're totally not going to include that on your video.
How much do you want to bet? Alright. Then you get your very professional fabric marker. At least it's a fabric marker and not like a Sharpie or something. Oh, I can even do it left-handed. Look at me go. There's your template. When I had pinned the template to myself, I made sure that the straight edge of my scrap fabric was along the top of my belly, which will make it easier when I show you the next part of us cutting it out of the real fabric. As I cut out the template, I also cut a notch to mark the center.
Is that the last main thing that you really have to get done before you go?
Shower and packing, and yes, this. I'd left it to the last minute to make these bathers and I was leaving the next morning, but it's okay, we worked it out. To cut out the belly piece, I used the straight edge along the top of my belly to cut on the fold, which meant there'd be one less seam to make it extra comfy on my tummy. I then opened this out to sew the 2 short edges together. In the end, I had to unpick this and sew a little panel on there. So this picture here shows when the panel has been attached because it was a little tight when I tried it on my belly. And then I decided I was going to sew along the long edge of this panel piece just to make sure that it wasn't as slippery when I was putting it through my sewing machine to attach it to the waistband as when I was attaching the waistband to the actual shorts piece. Doing this process was a great idea. I was really happy that I took the time to do it because it meant that this one panel piece, although I had 2 layers, was effectively acting as just one layer of fabric when I sewed it into the waistband here. I really wanted these shorts to be as comfortable as possible, and I knew that if I had seams around my tummy, it would be uncomfortable and itchy. So I decided that I wanted all of the seams around my belly to be internal, where they weren't going to be touching my skin. So in order to do that, I pinned the belly piece to just the front piece of the waistband. And then the next step, I'll be hand sewing the back piece of the waistband, folding it over the top of all the seams and hand sewing it in place. This is what it looks like from the front with the waistband seams nice and even. And from the inside, you can see that you just need to fold up the back waistband to sew that over those back seams. I'm actually really impressed with how this has turned out. They're actually staying up. So I had to add a little panel here because it was a little tight. It's fitting pretty well with going over the bump. So I'm pretty happy with how they're fitting. I need to hem them still, and then I need to hand stitch in where the waistband part meets this bit. It's 8:50 p.m. and I need to leave at 5 a.m. So let's get this done. I tried the pants on to work out how much I wanted to hem off the legs, chopped off the excess, and then I sewed around the legs. This time I'm not using my over edge stitch, I'm using a narrow zigzag stitch. On mine it looks like a lightning bolt, or you could just use a zigzag stitch and decrease the width to make it narrow. Oh, I'm so excited. This last step that I'm showing here of me hand sewing up the bottom, I actually did when I got back from Darwin because I was running so short on time. I just figured it doesn't matter if the inside is neat or not. I'll just wear them on my trip as they are and hand sew it when I get back. So here I am showing you how I hand sewed the back waistband piece to the belly band piece. To do this, I'm using an invisible stitch, which is called a ladder stitch. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can learn how to do an invisible stitch using my hand sewing video. I'll link that for you in the description box. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed watching the process of me making these swimming shorts. And now I'm going to show you some clips from my Darwin trip of when I used these shorts. I'm really happy with these shorts. They were great for my Darwin trip, and now it's currently spring, we're heading into summer. I'm sure I'll get a lot more use out of these as the months go on. If you enjoyed watching me make these shorts, then I'm sure you'll enjoy some of my other videos. I'd love for you to watch another of my videos next, or to subscribe to see my future videos. Also, if you're on Instagram, I'd love for you to follow me at mymum.marie so that you can keep up to date with what I'm working on in real time. So thanks again for spending some time with me today. Go get creative, and I'll see you later.